My name is Pokerface. What's your name?
Man, I'm so tense right now by fear. I just gotta breathe a little bit, man. Most of the time you can read a person, right? If you approach someone and you start trying to strike up a conversation with them and they have their closed arms and maybe a stout posture and they're barely looking you in the eyes and they kind of just acknowledging what you say every once in a while with a 1 or 2 word response, you know they're not really feeling the conversation. On the other hand, you have some people that are really enthusiastic about talking with you. They're salespeople. They're in your face. They're trying to build rapport and win over your like for them. And a lot of times those are really, really easy to predict. Some people are less easy to predict, and those people at times are different. So if you ever met somebody that has any kind of mental instability or a handicap, it's a little bit different to communicate with them, right? Sometimes you can't really read what they're gonna do. Almost like an animal when they have a disposition that you're not familiar with. An angry dog that doesn't growl before he snaps, for instance. All these things, we're used to picking up on different signals from people that we can relate to that are just like us. But when we meet someone different, things can get kind of weird, and not knowing what to expect can completely change what happens when you meet somebody that's mentally unstable. We're going to react to a couple horror stories about one today from Spooked. Make sure to head on over to their channel, guys, and click subscribe, click the notification bell, and if you like reaction videos, make sure to subscribe to this channel as well. Let's get into the reaction.
I grew up in the countryside, right next to a national park frequently visited by nature lovers and bird enthusiasts.
Me too.
It was the kind of park where you're not really allowed to bike or ride horses, only walk or run.
Oh.
But 10-year-old me felt it was a stupid rule, and did so anyway, because the trails were perfect for it.
Right.
I knew fully well that I wasn't supposed to do that, and was caught a few times, but nothing too much came of it, apart from a half-hearted "don't do it again."
Boy, we had a park next to where I lived when we were growing up, and it wasn't this strict, but they still had a lot of rules. Y'all, we did some stupid stuff at that park because we knew that we would never get in real trouble, and we didn't. We took things like the posts that are buried in the ground. We took some out. The barrier posts, around the campsites, we took some out and used them as firewood, which didn't even burn because they were creosote posts, but we got caught doing that, and all we ever did is get run off, So this little kid's probably running rampant with his bike around, not even worried about it, man.
And I listened, of course.
Yeah.
Until one day, something frightening happened that made me stop.
Okay.
My family were horse breeders, and I would often take one of the horses for a ride, usually in the Forbidden Park.
Okay.
This day, very early morning, the first day of the summer holiday, it was beautiful outdoors.
Yeah. Looks like it.
Misty and foggy, yet a sky that promised a sunny day ahead.
Yeah.
Since it was so early, before 6 o'clock, I knew there wouldn't be anyone on the trail to see me.
Sure.
So I let the horse set off full speed along the trail.
Mm-hmm.
I only slowed down on the part of the trail that got steep on one side, leading down to the river, because the thought of one step too close to the edge was too much for even a kid, with next to non-existing risk assessment skills.
Right.
Suddenly, the horse came to a halt and refused to take another step. I grew up with horses all my life. I knew that usually indicates that you need to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there was something in front of the horse, or something that the horse spotted and got scared of. There was nothing in front of the horse, and the horses didn't move an inch. That's when I saw it. Someone had set up a trap. A thin, sharp metal wire across the trail, in perfect neck height for...
Wow. Neck height wire trap. Who does that at a park? This just got creepy. Awesome that the horse actually recognized it and spotted it. Horses are extremely smart animals. I just spoke about dogs earlier. Dogs can spot danger like that too. Cats kind of as well, but cats will warn you less. A dog and horses seem more companion oriented like that, like watching out for their riders or their owners, than cats do. Cats are a little bit selfish. I like cats and stuff, but they're kind of all about themselves. But this seems like it's crazy, man.
An adult. I stopped and looked around, but I didn't see anyone.
Okay.
The wire was well attached to 2 trees and impossible for me to remove, so I led the horse around it.
Right.
And to do so, I had to walk a bit up into the wooded area on the side of the trail.
All right.
That was when I heard the singing. There's a song called Hey Tomte Gubar, and it was that melody, but the lyrics were different and sung in a muffled, sniggering voice. Today, I only remember parts of it, but translating it would have been something like, "Hey, all you runners, come here passing, let the lifeblood pour out."
Wow.
I, as silently as I could, and with my heart in my throat, backed away, got up on the horse, and hurried back the way I came as fast as I could.
He's trying to find a victim.
I knew I had to tell someone about it, but at the same time, wanted to avoid admitting to riding a huge and very forbidden horse on those protected trails.
Yes.
So now I had a problem.
Uh-oh.
The old stories about a mad old man living in the shed in the woods, a shed that was once a cottage for the local hunter, came back to me as I hung on the horse for dear life.
But it's in a park.
I got home and told my older brother what had happened, and he went back there with me in tow. We found the wire trap, and after a while searching, we also found a spear-like pole in the ground, right on the spot where you'd land if you came running and jumped over the fallen tree on the trail. That's when we called the police. The area was searched and several similar traps found, but no sight of the old man.
What?
The following summer, though, there was big news in the local paper about spear-like poles being found right under the water's surface, directly under that little tower you're supposed to dive from at the lake. And black garbage bags filled with big rocks were found on the narrow bridge crossing the river, so that if a car had hit it, chances are it would have gone off the road and into the water.
Holy crap, dude. That is the scariest ish, man. Like, somebody crazy enough to leave traps for humans. Have you ever seen these movies that people hunt other people for sport? You know, normally they're just designed to kind of freak you out and, you know, and give you a rush. But when you think about the psychology of someone that is predatory like that, it's scary. Like, human life is completely fragile, y'all. The difference between life and death is honestly a well-placed pointed object. Really and truly, you know? Something small like the smallest steak knife can kill you if it's used properly. Much less these. Can you imagine being like skewered by a spike diving into water? Or clotheslined out of nowhere just when you're riding on a trail somewhere? God, dude, that's so freaky. Whew. Story 2.
I was at a friend's house, safe in warm, sheltered suburbia.
Mm-hmm.
We were having a lot to drink, chit-chatting and enjoying ourselves. Of course, when you're having fun, time hits the fast-forward button, and those few minutes turns into an hour. I had too much to drink.
Sometime.
My friend has a bit of an abrupt bedtime.
Okay.
So I had to dodge out early, still intoxicated.
All right.
I felt too shameful thinking I'd be asking too much to stay in his house, to sleep off the drunkenness.
What?
I suppose he was either too rude or too drunk to consider it himself.
Right.
Whatever. Sometimes little inconvenience makes you appreciate everything else.
Yeah.
I needed about another hour or so to sober up and drive back.
Oh, man, you know, I'm gonna do my duty as a, as a public servant in this point. All right, don't drive buzzed, y'all. Don't. I've done it before when I was young. I got very close to getting a DUI at one point, and I didn't. The cops had another call when they were about to do the test on me, and they knew that I wasn't far from home, and they just turned me around and sent me home. After that, I never drank and drove again. But, you know, when you're just a little bit off, under the being intoxicated, you know, under the influence, all you need, a half second of judgment different, and you can still kill somebody or yourself. Just don't do it.
As fast as time passed during my stay, it decided to drastically slow down, as soon as I stepped out of his house.
Right.
It was a dead-end area, a concrete jungle with the stem of the street breaking into a fork.
Okay.
Alongside the road, my car was parked. The only street light that worked was in the middle of the dead-end circle, about 80 yards away. I stumbled towards my car, took out my keys, felt the metal line up, opened my door, and shifted to the back seat.
Wow.
Because this was a dark, strange, and unfamiliar neighborhood, I took the leftover newspapers and a sweater in my backseat to cover myself up.
Wow.
I was a little scared. I wanted to camouflage myself and not just be some guy awkwardly sitting in his car, waiting for time to pass in order to drive home. I couldn't fall asleep. The uncomfortable feeling of a cheap backseat bed enshrouded in darkness didn't make the chance of slumber easier. It felt too ominous.
Very hard
and
for me
of course,
to sleep.
my mind began to wonder. I thought of worst case scenarios, like how the police would shine their lights on me through the window, or a drunk driver hitting my car, and wait, in the distance, about 100 yards away, I could hear footsteps approaching. The gravel scuffed with each step forward, growing in proximity, but periodically taking stops.
And it's raining.
I wondered why, until it made sense in my mind. Whoever it was probably looking through cars carefully, with the intent to steal one. I couldn't recall how many cars were on the block, but I counted 3 full stops until he was at my window, breathing. I froze. There was no more than 1 foot between us. The car encapsulated me as I lay hidden beneath the backseat cutter, forming myself into an object.
Now, anybody that's desperate enough to steal cars, guys, is either armed and dangerous or just dangerous. Like, you know, these people are usually desperate or they're willing to commit a crime. It's not a victimless crime. Sometimes they'll be scared enough if they notice that someone's watching them, but I don't know. There's some brave souls out there, man. There's a ton of people out there that they wouldn't bat an eye to kill you for their own personal gain, man.
Trying my hardest to be unnoticeable, unmoving, and simply not there. Then I hear a 40-year-old man in perverse baby talk. I see you.
Oh no.
It reminded me of my childhood, playing hide and seek, when my friends would trick me in coming out. That's what I heard in that tone of voice, as if baiting me, like he was questioning whether the clutter in the backseat was just clutter or a person.
Right.
I didn't want to move or check the window, so I remained cluttered. My body reacted by minimizing my breathing so much that I felt paralyzed. I tried not to look, my eyes fixated on the back of the passenger seat. I didn't blink. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. My heart was pounding so hard, it shook my body with each throb. He circled around the car. My ears didn't fail me. I heard the steps as if I was part of the car.
Right.
I could feel him touching the trunk as he carefully pressed down on it, as if to test the alarm. I was in the middle of fight or flight. I couldn't do either without elevating danger.
Right.
I was frozen and hoping to God he was bluffing.
Good Lord, man.
He circled the car again. The door handle to my right suddenly jiggled. He was pulling it multiple times. I see you. Same tone, but more agitated and stressed, more convinced that he was trying to make that clutter move, revealing itself to be one of his expectations, that it was me. My muscles tensed like a cow before slaughter. Then I hear tapping. That had to be metal against glass. I immediately think of the worst. A crowbar, a knife, a rock, a gun. My eyes fixated on the seat in front of me, never averting my gaze, like he was. I was covered enough to where I couldn't see beyond the seat in front of me. I know I couldn't see him, but I could feel his eyes resting on top of me. My name is Pokerface. What's your name?
Man, I'm so tense right now by fear. I just gotta breathe a little bit, man. This is like my worst fears coming true right here, man. Stuck in a place and just being taunted by someone that is much more dangerous than you are. You know, even if you don't know how dangerous they are, the fact that they're taunting you and not sure, Nobody in their right mind would do that if they knew you had a weapon or a gun, or that you wasn't hiding from them. You know, imagine the tough guy persona saying, okay, big baby, bring it. You know what I mean? It's like nobody approaches that with the same intentions. This is very predatory. Like, he knows that whoever is in this car is basically playing the role of a victim. And whether it's from psychological manipulation or just fear, he is controlling the situation in every aspect right now. This is horrifying.
The voice changed in a lower, demented, and serious tone. My mind forced a visual. It wasn't anything human. I already accepted my death. I was ready to be shot in the head, ready to take a life-changing bullet, multiple knife wounds. Just make this sleep bearable, not excruciating, as you drain me of life. I wouldn't know how to react. My thoughts grew dimmer. I imagined my friend waking up the next morning after a calm night of safe and sound sleep, only to discover my mutilated, defiled, and bloodied body hanging outside my car door.
Stop!
It was then I heard nothing but my own heart. What was this person doing now?
Right.
Just staring at me in the middle of the night? Talking to me? Or a messy pile in the back seat? Time froze. The footsteps were being swallowed in the distance. Thank God he left.
He left.
I waited another hour until the sun showed hints of itself. I jumped in my front seat and bolted out of there, wide-eyed and sober.
Wow. Yo, I was completely expecting that window to pop and an altercation to happen. I don't know which one's worse. Honestly, not getting stabbed or shot is a lot better, but oh my God, it just, the suspense was overwhelming right there. What a great freaking story, man. And the ambience. Spooked is such an awesome narrator. I love it. Guys, make sure to go check him out. His stories are always incredible. Right here, as well as a couple other stories that are reacted to from him here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time.
Break it down.